At 11, a federal lawmaker with the help of a local leader continue to sound the alarm over a looming spike in healthcare costs.
How do you cover something that you don't know how much it costs? And how do you...
Plus, how businesses and organizations in Oregon and Washington are stepping up as millions of Americans expect delays in federal food assistance.
It's really disturbing to see that some of our most vulnerable people are at risk.
And when we could see a ruling come down over the deployment of troops to the Rose City. Thanks so much for joining us here at 11. I'm John Adams. This afternoon, Democratic Congresswoman Janelle Bynum, joined by members of the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, hosted a press conference to address rising healthcare costs as well as the delay to federal food assistance. Jay Coulter was there and brings us the details.
Congresswoman Janelle Bynum and the AFSCME members say that rising healthcare costs and the uncertainty surrounding premium increases are the concerns they hear the most from Oregonians.
Health insurance and health care are expensive enough as it is. Oregonians don't need D.C. politicians raising their costs even more.
Congresswoman Bynum speaking at Clackamas Community College Saturday to address what she says people in her district face with rising healthcare costs.
People have told me over and over and over again that healthcare was their number one issue. They wanted to make sure that we had a strong healthcare system, that kids had medicine when they needed it, and they could go to the doctor when they needed it, and they weren't going to suffer a medical bankruptcy.
As open enrollment begins today for ACA renewal, some are seeing steep increases in their health insurance costs.
There was an initial quote that we got that our premiums were going to go up 19%. We got that down to 8 or 9.
Stephen Kong works for Oregon City and is the local resource contact for AFSCME members. What he's hearing from folks troubles him.
People are terrified. There are working families that have children or spouses, or they themselves are fighting a very important medical battle, and they don't know what they would do if they can't afford the premiums, if they can't afford the treatments, and they want to make sure that they can protect their family.
Congresswoman Bynum says what is also troubling are the cuts to SNAP benefits, which are in jeopardy starting today due to the government shutdown.
This is not something that's just like play money or play food. This is real nutrition.
Friday, a federal judge ordered the USDA to distribute SNAP benefits as soon as possible. President Trump appears to support the order, posting on Truth Social, quote, "I have instructed our lawyers to ask the court to clarify how we can legally fund SNAP as soon as possible," and continued, "It will be my honor to provide the funding." Bynum says she'll believe it when she sees it.
Talk is cheap. The federal government should move the money immediately and make states whole.
In the meantime, multiple local businesses are offering free meals to those who have lost their SNAP benefits. You can find a list of those businesses on our website, kgw.com. Back to you.
And one of those businesses is a Portland coffee shop that's turning community donations into free meals, no questions asked. Starting today, Heretic Coffee is offering a SNAP breakfast. It's a free meal for anyone whose SNAP benefits are currently impacted by the government shutdown. People can stop by to pick up the breakfast between 8 a.m. and 2 daily. Over the last 5 days, the shop's owner tells KGW they've raised over $300,000 to buy the food, which people have donated from as far away as Norway to ensure Portlanders don't miss meals.
Food has been in some ways weaponized, and we want to give food to people because that is just a simple, basic human right. You have a bunch of Portlanders that are just coming together saying, what do you need? I have people that show up at 2 o'clock just to help clean after all this is said and done. That is the beauty of Portland and the gift of what it means to be part of a community.
Well, the owner says the SNAP breakfast will continue until donations run out. Heretic is also partnering with a local nonprofit to provide toiletry items. Well, again, despite the court ruling, millions of people around the country will go without food stamp benefits. Until funding is resolved or the government reopens, people in Oregon and Washington are donating food and money. Alex McClune has this story from Seattle.
Seattle is stepping up, but how far will it have to go and for how long?
We're estimating we have probably a ton, 2,000 pounds of food that have been donated already. We're seeing receipts from people who've spent, $100, $200 on groceries and just dropped it off here.
Andrew Engelson with Cascadia Democratic Action organized Saturday's food drive at Cal Anderson Park. He's disturbed the crisis got this far.
It's really disturbing to see that some of our most vulnerable people are at risk.
Free little pantries are peppering neighborhoods, this one filled with pasta, bread, and toothbrushes.
Only a handful of food banks are open in the city on Saturdays, like this one in West Seattle, as well as the Bitter Lake and Lake City neighborhoods.
Rainier Valley Food Bank wants to be one of them.
We're going to look at what that looks like in terms of numbers and potentially extend our hours or add an additional day, potentially on Saturday.
The city is signaling support and could help make that possible.
When the federal government is stepping away from their responsibility and really stepping back away from people, that's Seattle stepping up.
Council members take action Monday. They will review the mayor's civil emergency proclamation. It would unlock $4 million this month and another $4 million next month for food banks, school meal programs, and emergency food distribution citywide. The new funding could pay for bulk food purchases, cover staffing gaps, and even allow some food banks to extend their hours, including potentially opening on weekends. As Seattle waits for the USDA to decide whether benefits will be fully or partially funded, volunteers aren't waiting around to feed their neighbors.
And it really says that this city cares about people.
Like we touched on earlier, a growing list of businesses have stepped up to donate, fundraise, and even give out free meals. And we've made it easy to find those businesses. Just text the word SNAP to 503-226-5088 and we'll text you back with that list. Well, tonight we continue to wait for a ruling from a federal judge over whether President Donald Trump can deploy National Guard troops to Portland. The question Judge Karen Immergitt will have to answer: does President Trump have the authority, given the law, the facts, and the evidence, to send troops to protect federal facilities in the city? Friday, both the state of Oregon and the Trump administration made their closing arguments after a high-stakes three-day trial. The state is seeking an injunction permanently barring troop deployment. The judge says she plans to rule before the end of the day on Sunday, when her temporary order blocking troops is set to expire. Turning now to weather, we are now officially in rainy season. Last month we saw nearly 4 inches of rain, and in a few locations today we got close to an inch. Meteorologist Joe Ranieri is here to let us know what Sunday is going to be like. Hey, Joe.
Hey there. Well, Sunday we'll get an extra hour of sleep because we're going to be rolling back those clocks as daylight saving ends. Looking into tomorrow will be much calmer. Temperature tomorrow right around the mid-50s or so, just a couple degrees cooler from where we should be. So again, early morning showers. And when I say early morning showers, John, I'm saying between midnight and about 3 o'clock. So a lot of us will be asleep when we start to see some of those showers, and they will be light. Areas of fog to start things off. Now, throughout the northern part of the Willamette Valley, you'll be seeing more of the sunshine a little bit earlier. Salem South, I think those clouds will stick around. Those low clouds, those foggy conditions will stick around till late morning, early part of the afternoon. This is what it's going to look like here in the metro area. Right around 11 a.m., we'll be looking at a mix of clouds and sunshine. We'll start to see the sunshine for a couple of hours, and then by 4 or 5 o'clock, yeah, the clouds will start to return. But again, got to remind you to turn back those clocks tomorrow morning at 2 a.m. Also, a good reminder to check those smoke alarms, an extra hour of sleep, but the sunsets are an hour earlier. New sunrise, 6:52, the new sunset tomorrow, 4:55. And I'll talk more about your detailed forecast and let you know what's in store for the first week of November coming up in about 10 minutes from now.
All right, Joe, thank you. We'll see you then. Developing tonight, search and rescue teams in Clackamas County continued their search for a hunter who went missing on Friday in Mount Hood National Forest. The sheriff's office got a tip that 51-year-old Devin Dobeck never returned from a hunting trip, despite telling a friend that he was actually returning early after getting a deer. Deputies found his truck near the Fish Creek trailhead about 20 miles southeast of Estacada, but saw no sign of Dobeck or a deer. Weather conditions and poor cell signal have complicated the search efforts, and crews are not asking for volunteer help at this time. A 13-year-old boy is in the hospital with serious injuries after he was hit by a car in southeast Portland. Police say the teen was wearing a Halloween costume when he was hit by a car just before 8 o'clock last night at Southeast Hawthorne and 22nd. Officers say his family was with him at the time and went to the hospital with him. Police say the driver remained on scene and cooperated, and was not arrested or cited. Well, history has been made in the baseball world. The LA Dodgers pulled out a win in the 11th inning of Game 7 of the World Series earlier tonight. They beat the Toronto Blue Jays 5-4 to become the first team in a quarter century to win consecutive World Series titles. LA overcame 3-0 and 4-2 deficits and escaped a bases-loaded jam in the ninth to become the first repeat champ since the New York Yankees won 3 straight titles between 1998 and 2000. And they're the first team from the National League to do back-to-back titles since 1975 and 1976 Cincinnati Reds.